Hey guys, welcome back to MuscleMentor.net. I'm Brad Hall and this is Justin Harris, and we are taking your questions off of Facebook right now. So let's see, or your suggested topics. Another idea would be your overall approach to a diet with a competitor who is interested in making a large increase in muscular size. If you could work with him or her for an entire off season or more.
Okay, this is from a good friend of mine, Jason, and I know the implication of the question is good. Kind of the problem with it is with a competitor who is interested in making a large increase in muscular size. Is there anyone out there not interested in that? I mean, we're competitors. Is there any competitor out there going, I don't want to get too big. I want that long, lean, functional. But no, I get what he's asking, and truthfully, there is no difference that's always the goal, to add muscular size. Now, there's some variations that sometimes you got a guy who's at the top, near the top of the weight class, about to turn pro, and if you push it too much, he's going to jump a weight class. He's not quite ready for it. But typically, you still push for that and then diet off that muscle if necessary. But the key thing he said is working with them for an off season or more, a year or more, and that's the thing with coach jumpers. And we both coach, and I'm not saying I'm the best coach in the world. I'm not saying or anyone else is better or worse or whatever. But if you're going to work with a coach, stick with a coach, especially in the off season. I get wanting to try different stuff, but you've seen how many times have you seen a guy who works with a coach and it's year 2 or 3 where they really start making the changes. I got a guy, Dominic Trevellini, right now. Everyone's freaking out about the changes he made this year. What do you do? What's going on? What do you do? Well, we didn't do anything different. It's just that I got a contest with him under his belt last year. Yeah. And now we had an entire offseason. By now, we know each other. There's no more confusion. There's no more questions. We've seen everything. We click. We know each other's bodies. So that's the important thing. To add a large amount of muscular size, if you're going to work with someone, find someone you trust and work with them. At least give them the time to make the changes. You're not coach jumping, especially as far as adding size, is not a good thing. Then there's lots of people who know what they're doing. So find someone you like their approach, you like the way they handle things, that they know what they're doing, and really give it a shot with them and put the time in. But there's really what you're going to do. There's some strategies if you're really trying to put on muscle. One of the best things to do is plan ahead of time and plan your year of big progress after a very hard contest diet. Mm-hmm. The best gains you'll ever make are actually a contest diet where you're on the border of a weight class and you diet down to the lower weight class. It's like what a John Jewett did. Mm-hmm. A depleted body is always, you're hungrier, your metabolism is ready to soak up nutrients, your gastric emptying rate is faster, your hunger hormones are such that you got months before they're leveled out, so your appetite's sky high, and your motivation to add size is high because you lost muscle on that contest prep. But you're always trying to add size, so that's really the only thing. And I don't really recommend taking whole years off. Because what ends up happening is in the effort of trying to add size as fast as possible, you're always teetering on the edge of adding body fat. And we can do this. We do mathematical stuff here. We can do it mathematically. We know that the most rapid rate of muscle growth we can sustain long term is about 1 gram per hour. It's 25 grams a day, roughly 24 grams. Say 25 grams a day. That's 100 calories. That's it. So whatever your basal metabolic rate is, the highest you can build muscle on top of that is only 100 calories above it. Well, so are you eating 100 calories more than you diet on? No. Say you're in a 1,000 calorie deficit when you diet. That means your off season is only 1,001 calories. That's not a big, heavy eating off season. So there isn't a lot of room. So to make sure you're hitting that 100 calories of growth, you're almost always going over, which means accumulation of body fat, which isn't a bad thing. It's part of the process. You don't want to gain fat, but you're going to always try to err on the side of more calories than less calories because you're trying to add muscle. But the secondary problem with that is the human male body is most anabolic at low body fat percentages, and it seems crazy. But I'll give some just observational examples that should make it pretty clear. Really, the male body is most anabolic somewhere between 6 and 12%, maybe 8 to 12%. But let's say 8 to 10% is optimum range. That's pretty darn lean. and that seems odd, but that's where we naturally produce the highest rates of testosterone. That's where we have the lowest levels of aromatization. And that's where we have the highest rates of muscle protein synthesis. That's where we have the best insulin sensitivity, the lowest fasting blood glucose levels. That's where we have the fastest gastric emptying rate, the quickest digestion. And that's where's the science? Where's the articles that prove this? It's not hard to prove. Go to any college, any high school, and look at overweight young boys. Go and tell me how many of them have hair on their chest. How many of them have a beard? I'm serious. Mm-hmm. 30% body fat boys, very sparse beard pattern, almost no hair on their arms and chest, and that's because their body fat's so high that they're just getting high levels of aromatization, low levels of testosterone production.
Yeah, they're getting the ass into the stick.
Yeah, and so that's probably largely why the average male testosterone level is so much lower than it was a generation before. Yep. But that's another big thing you have to consider is that going too long of an off season, you start getting into body fat levels where you're no longer optimally anabolic, and that's not speeding things up, that's slowing things down.